What's up? We're back with episode, I think 5 now with the Mustang rebuild series. I didn't expect to go this far, but ran into a few complications. Just took me a little time to get everything together, but we are back, and I swear I'm going to get this car running today. I don't care how long the video is. It could be an hour, it could be 2 hours. This car is going to start in this video. I want to go ahead and give a huge shout out to Shifty50, who in my last comment section told me that the timing cover and water pump are different on an SN95 car versus the Fox bodies, which I did not realize. So I grabbed the old water pump off the shelf, looked at it here, and it does look completely different from there. And then the input shaft is a totally different length. So I went ahead, got the necessary gaskets. I still have the old one from when we tore the Fox body apart. So we're gonna go ahead, get this all ripped off, put new on. I'm not gonna show this in the video. You've seen me rip it off in the first episode, so there's no reason to watch it again. But I'm gonna go ahead, get that changed over, and then we can start working on everything else. This part takes forever. The old harmonic balancer out. I'm really not upset about having to replace it because there is not a single number on here. Guess you don't need them. You can always tune a little bit by ear for timing, but having the numbers definitely helps when it comes to timing it to make sure you get the correct timing in your car. Time for that intake to pop off. This time, like we did, or like I was talking about with that 351, I left the water pump on to take the timing cover off. So then if I ever want to reuse it or give it to somebody else, it is just already installed. What I'm doing now is just trying to get it popped off here. So we're gonna use the big one, pry up a little bit. Don't recommend prying on that intake, but I'm just kind of working it around a little bit. I'm not pushing hard, just trying to get into somewhere where I can really get behind it and pry on it. Behind it, just continue to work around a little bit. You want to pry just straight off of it. We don't want to mess anything up. So use these, just kind of work around a little bit, hit some different spots, get all that gasket material broke off. Until it fully comes off of there. Struggling a little bit, and I couldn't figure out why, but I forgot I didn't loosen this hose yet, so I was still hanging on to the intakes when I was prying. It was just pulling the hose, and it actually wasn't coming off.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
So I got that loose, so everything should just pop right off now. Old one's off. Once I got that loose, it pulled off. Like I said, I used my hands, I didn't have to pry it anymore. Under here looks pretty good. We'll get this gasket cleaned up. Everything looks good here. The timing chain's nice and tight, so I don't think I need to replace that. Gonna go ahead and crank it, make sure these are lined up and that this was installed correctly. And then we'll go ahead. We'll use the front being off to our benefit here. We'll go ahead and get this out now that we have some room. We'll get everything set to top dead center, put the distributor in. So we're gonna use this to our advantage a little bit instead of just going, oh man, we have to replace it. So that kind of is a good thing, especially with the harmonic balancer. So unlike the last one, in part one when we took it apart, these dots are lined up, which is great. Since they are lined up, this also means that that should be top dead center. So we're gonna go ahead and get that first spark plug pulled out to verify that, and then we'll get the distributor set down in. I'm working on getting this piece off here. It's like a big circle, so I don't really know how people get that off. I tried using vice grips, channel locks, it's not working. So I'm gonna try to pound a socket onto it and see if that helps. I'm gonna go ahead and get this oil filter off because the rim of it here is in the way a little bit. So I'm gonna get the oil pin down, get that oil filter off now. Just in case, a little bit in there. Tip it down, let it go out. Boom, that's out of the way now. Now we can try to go ahead, pound this socket on, and see if we can get that piece off. Like I said, what I'm doing is just trying to pound this socket on. This is a 1 inch. This thing was a circle. I know it might had a socket at one point, but it was just a circle now. So I'm trying to make threads on it. Look, it kind of stinks now. There's not much swing room. It's about halfway on. We'll see if that's enough to break it loose here. Wow, and that does not want to move, and I don't know why. Got the socket pounded back on. This time I got the big guy out, so we're gonna see if that makes any sort of difference. Hopefully it is on there enough. That's as far as I can get it to go. I can't get it to pound on anymore. Let's see. if this makes a difference. I hope it does, because I'm tired of dealing with this. Oh, perfect. It's coming right out now. Beautiful. That's what we needed. So I'll get that out, and then we will move on to the next thing. One big thing about these cars is I feel like I am constantly just making it up as I go, which isn't a bad thing, I guess, that I can figure it out, but man, is it always stressful. All right, that piece is out. See you later. So in a previous comment section on the first video I posted about this car, someone commented, said, hey, you don't actually have to use that log. You can actually just run your oil sensor line straight into the side of the block, which I thought it was a great idea, because to me, this is the ugliest thing in the world when it comes off the side of a motor. Sadly, the oil pressure line does not have enough give to reach the side of the motor, so the log is going to be making a comeback on this. I got a little Permatex thread sealer. It's like a liquid versus that tape. I'm not a big fan of the tape. I always like the liquid better, because you can put it on a little thicker and it screws in. Go ahead, be pretty generous going around the outside of that. Get it soaked on, get it down here to the hole, get it lined up, screw it right back in. And then you just got to get the wrench, tighten that up, and then that piece is going to be done. We can go ahead and move on to the next thing. Next thing we're doing here is moving over to the spark plug, cylinder number 1, so that we can verify that this motor is in top dead center before we get distributor dropped in. So get your ratchet flipped the right way, get the spark plug out. Maybe. Get that spark plug out, and then we'll get the camera out, check out for top dead center. Camera's out, get it turned on. Pushed in the hole here. Oh yeah, that's gotta be top dead center if I've ever seen it. Oh, that's dead, so that's great. I know for a fact that that is top dead center, just because of the two dots lining up on the bottom down here. Because of those line up, I know for sure it is top dead center. We'll really be able to verify though once we get everything put back together and we get the older harmonic balancer on. Once we get that on, we'll show 0 right at the lineup tool, and it'll be good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that distributor in, and we'll set it for 1. So what we're gonna do here for this distributor is we're gonna get this cap popped off, number 1. So get this popped off. We got to get this bolt out of the hole. Hopefully I don't drop it down there. That'd be really catastrophic at this point. We got an O-ring on there already. And then something I always like, it really is up to preference, I guess, but I always like my number 1 cylinder to be pointing towards the back right here. So now we just try to get it to close number 1 as we can, or get it, just find a spot where it kind of drops into place with that cam. So let's see. All right, we're dropped in there. So now we'll get this cap back on. And then we'll turn it a little bit so that it lines up there. So it's right here. Tilt it back a little bit. Yep, so this is gonna be cylinder number 1 in the back right here. I'm gonna take a little bit of red tape and mark this back one for now, so that future me knows that it's cylinder number 1, and then I don't have to repop that cap off. We'll get it timed up later. Right now you just kind of set it that way, and then we'll put these back on. If I can get it lined up. Oh goodness, what am I doing here? Get that back on, and then I'll get the bolt so we can get that tightened back down. Distributor bolt is in. So next thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna stuff something down in here, probably just like a paper bag or a plastic bag. Stuff it down in here so no gasket material falls in, and then we're gonna scrape all of this gasket off, get the new one on so we can get that new timing cover on. Got the bag shoved in, so now we can go ahead. I'm gonna pull off as many big pieces as I can first before we get the scraper out, to just try to prevent as much falling down as possible. Got all the big pieces off, so now we'll just run our blade along it and scrape off any little gasket that we can. It's really not going to be a big deal if a little's left behind or something. That right there is exactly why we put that bag down. Any little piece like that, we're trying to prevent from getting inside of that oil pan. Yeah, I know it probably, some people are going, oh, it's no big deal, it's just a little gasket or something. But my thought of it is, you know, this is paper, so it could easily get in that screen of the oil pump, clog that up, and then you end up dealing with a seized motor. So this gasket is like stuck on. I don't really want to fight it to try to get it off. So what I'm gonna do is just throw a little bit of RTV up under it on each side, over top of it, and we'll just use the same gasket. However, when I was feeling around, something that I noticed was this motor actually has a alignment rod that goes all the way around the oil pan. I don't know if you can see it, maybe. But essentially, where the oil pan sits, usually just have bolts that go up through. This oil pan actually has one of those metal things to go all the way around it, almost like a girdle to hold it up and make sure it is torqued down evenly all the way across, which is really awesome. I did not expect that from this motor. This one really needs some help, so I'm gonna sit down, take my time, and clean this one up really good. This has been absolutely terrible because of all the RTV. We got the back cleaned up decently, but trying to get under here has been a nightmare. Still trying to get it out. What I'm doing now is I'm taking a drill and a wire brush and trying to just scrape off very lightly any extra around those edges. If there's a little bit like there, that's gonna be okay, but anything that's thick, like there's still a little bit of thick stuff on those edges, I'm trying to get that off. I got it cleaned up to the best of my ability. Next step here is going to be scraping the gasket off, and then we got to get this out for the new one. Got the old one out, so this is that crank seal. Always replace a new one if you take the crank out. At least I have found it, is you always put a new one in or else it's gonna leak. So I gotta get this one in. We gotta pound it in. What I normally do is I'll take a block of wood, put the block of wood over it so I can hit the center of it to put it all in at once. I'm gonna have my wife come out, stand on this while I hit it so that it just goes in even as I'm walking all around the floor since I don't have a vise or anything. So I got to get that piece pounded in, got to clean up the mess. Last thing here is, although I use the included gasket on the water pump to the timing cover, I always run also a bead of the RTV blue around it. I know in my first video, I really clowned on how much RTV was used on this motor, but a little bit is okay here and there. You don't need it on every gasket surface that is open. So I'll use a little bit of blue RTV down here. I'll get this put on. I'm gonna let it sit overnight. And it is set down. So timing cover is on. Got to get every one of these bolts tightened to 15 foot-pound. Once I do that, we'll get the water pump on, and then we'll let it sit. I'm not sure what's going on here. I think I'm gonna end up needing a timing cover.
Oh no, you can fucking... Yeah. So now it's hand tight, it's not even so.
So, got investigating. The top of the motor was blown to smithereens, which happens to be the worst way to be blown.
Off this.
See if we can fish out a piece of something.
Hello, baby, where you at?
Yeah, try it, try it. Pick it up, see what you got. You got a little piece of something, that's part of it.
Dude, look I wonder why the oil is smoking.
Oh no. So this block is done.
Look at that piece.
One more Oh, Neptune.
God! Oh my
What
God!
if we get all the pieces out of it and JB weld it back together?
That's a great idea. Alright, I didn't get as far as I thought I was on this car last night. We thrashed a little bit with some keystones, and this car kicked my ass all night long. I stopped working on this car about 2 a.m. It's now 6 a.m. I didn't get the water pump on here. The timing cover, it looks like, I had to use the old timing cover, and it looks like they just threw some RT, like JB weld or something over this hole, so I can't fully tighten down that water pump. So now this has to come back off so that we can tighten that. So looking at the old motor here, this is just a prime example of this dude having no business working on this car, whoever built it. Instead of, trying to fix a hole that they might have messed up, they just threw JB weld in that hole. So got it off. This block is threaded, it's not messed up. So I got Rennie over there, he's gonna drill out that timing cover for me. We're using that motor as the motor stand since it's blown up.
You know, that's JB Weld, man. That's like...
What that is. Good as new, hole is drilled out so we can get back to putting this timing cover back on again and restart. Up at the top up there, this block is blown to smithereens like I said last night. So it is destroyed, so why not just drill on it? But this is like that JB Weld putty. So they, instead of fixing the motor, they just threw a bunch of JB Weld putty in it and called it a day. Fixed, so the timing cover can go back on now. I'm just gonna tighten it up, snug it up here, and then I will worry about getting the torque spec. Not gonna put it to torque spec now or tighten it even close. Time to torque. Online says 15 foot-pound for these water pumps. So we'll go up 15 on that. I'll save that one for last.
It's a long 15.
I didn't tighten it much, I don't think. There we go. So part one of the new surprise that I have for this car is actually a little bit better fuel rail. So it still is a stock fuel rail, but this one already has a nice regulator built into it. And then stock injectors, I'm pretty sure like 19-pound injectors. So Rennie had a set of 24-pound injectors that we're gonna be putting on this car. I'm gonna put them in the motor first, and then we'll bring back with the other piece, the fuel rail, and then we'll put the fuel rail on top of them. Kind of soft in there now, and then we'll get it really pushed down once we get the rail in there. I got the injector harness down. Rennie right now is working on the task of getting the header bolts in, which I hate doing, so glad he's doing it. Next thing is to get the thermostat hooked up. So we're gonna put some of that liquid Permatex thread sealer on it, get it shoved back down in that hole and get that hooked up. Headers are fully on both sides, so now we're just kind of working on getting all of this cleaned up. We gotta swap over these lines with the lines that were already on the car that run back to the tank, and we got the electric connectors hooked up. One small problem we ran into is that we cannot get the old fuel lines to disconnect. No matter how hard we shove and push, we can't get it off. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get rid of that. Even though that has a nice regulator on it, no big deal. We're not pushing any crazy horsepower anyway. So we're just gonna use the stock one, but take the horsepower, or take the 19 horsepower injectors out and then put the 24. Horsepower, I mean pound. 19-pound injectors, not horsepower. Good God. Old fuel rail is back on with the upgraded injectors, so it's finally time to get the intake on. So we'll get that put up, get the gasket set down, and then we'll start getting that bolted. Oh God. Oh God.
It's night
Oh
night.
man. Oh God. Oh God. Oh! Last thing I have here, so I was gonna put a new throttle body on. So this is just a factory throttle body. I actually have over here a BBK throttle body. Only issue is the parts store did not have the gasket. I need to put this on, and I'm not going to use RTV. So I ordered a gasket. Once that gasket gets in, we'll swap it over. But for now, just to get the fire up, we're going to be using this. Rennie's getting the throttle body finished on hooking up. I'm going to go ahead, get this oil line back on. We're really pushing to make a start on this car, so I might wait a little while before putting all the front accessories back on, because I just want to hear it fire one time, make sure we're getting spark, make sure that the motor is not going to knock or do something stupid before we get too far and then have to tear it down again.
You know what
Shout out
poundage-
Dinosaur Land.
You know what poundage it goes to?
Guten tight. Getting her torque down. Almost time to start this motor, but I would like to take a slight appreciation at how great of a job I have done on bringing this motor back to life. It doesn't run yet, but man, does it look so much better than what we tore out of here. So intake is fully on. He's gonna work on getting the spark plug wires all hooked up. I'm gonna go underneath and get the starter hooked up. Rennie's hooking up the battery box. We changed the oil filter, pulled the front plug. I got the starter hooked up, transmission, cross member bolted back up. I'm about to go under there, drain the last bit of oil in the rear plug. Then we will add oil, and then we'll be ready to start this car. After, of course, we get the battery in and the wires hooked up there, we'll be ready to go. So I'll be back with that here shortly. Like I said, we're gonna leave all these front pieces off for now, just to see if it fires or attempts to fire. Make sure we're getting spark before we go too far. Oh shit. Golly, she's thirsty. Yeah. Gosh, she's thirsty.
Couldn't get any higher, get any louder.
So everything is hooked up on the motor. We're gonna crank her up and see if we can get her to start. So we're going for the first start. I cranked the key once. Sadly, all those injectors are leaking, so they might have to go back to that 19-pound, or I'll just get new O-rings. But I don't know if it still will start with everything leaking. Let's just give her a crank here. Oh, it's not carbureted. I'm not gonna pump that. See what happens. No start. So the car would not crank. I'm thinking it might have to do something with that clutch safety switch. So Rennie's under the car right now. We're putting the clutch retaining clip on. Once we get that, there is a lot of extra cable hanging out the back. So I'm gonna go all up under the dash and see if see if it came unhooked from underneath maybe. But once I get that figured out, then we will be back to trying to start this thing. We're gonna see about jumping the solenoid on this car. Let's go ahead and see if it'll crank one more time. Now, I wonder if that battery's just not too weak.
No more leakage.
Huh. Battery's been sitting a while, so we're gonna try to see if it's actually just a bad battery first. Rennie brought his little jumper pack. That thing's awesome. So we're gonna hook that up and see if that changes anything. Got the jumper hooked up. We'll see if that makes any sort of difference. Oh yeah, that actually went up a lot. Still no key though. All right, Rennie's gonna touch the solenoid, see if we can get a start on her. Oh shit! Whoa!
We got it started.
Can you believe it? She ran, right? So we still got a couple issues going on. It's not starting under the keyed power. I don't know why yet. The clutch pedal still has no hook up to it. I got to crawl under the dash and really find out. I'm not sure what I'm looking at, so I got to look up a video there. The fuel injectors are leaking, so I either need to put the 19 pounds back in it, or I need to get new O-rings. But what we're going to do now is we're going to see if we can just get a little bit of a consistent idle going. So we're going to continue to do this. Rennie's going to play with the timing a little bit and see if we can get it to just idle for half a second. Yeah. All right, let's see if we can play with timing a little bit here. Starter.
All right.
Yeah. Go back. Go I think we're not getting just enough fuel because of how much is leaking on this side. I mean, I can hear it dripping and everything. So I think our issue right now is it's not so much the timing, but you can hear it. Yeah, you can even see it coming down the side of the bell housing where that fuel's leaking. So it sucks to suck, but we're gonna have to rip this intake back off and put either O-rings or the injectors. For today, I'll probably put those injectors on. Maybe at another time, I'll go ahead and upgrade again, but for now, I just wanna see this car run. All right, we're pulling this intake off. We were gonna call it and then work on it another day. I mean, it has been days and days working on this car, trying to get it ready. So we're like, forget it. And then we're like, we are so close. We can't just give up now. So pulling the intake off, gonna put the other injectors on. We are gonna hear this car run and sound good. So I was staring around here while Brittany was doing this, and I'm looking at the starter solenoid, trying to just chase wires around. I went, huh, the trigger pole is missing its wire. Well, there she blows. So let's see if she decides that she wants to start now, or crank at least. With that being said, no way. One problem fixed. Too easy. Got the hood popped on the intake. I don't know who painted this thing, but that guy sucks. This side's almost off. Got the old ejectors back out. We're gonna just throw them in there. Got all the ones replaced on this side. No more leaks, so we're getting it tightened down. Then we just gotta get the intake back on, torque it, and hook up the couple vacuums. I made a semi vacuum stopper right here, a plug, out of just out of a plastic baggie and a zip tie. Just for now, I don't have any carburetor plugs over at the other garage, so we'll see what happens here when we get back to starting it again. All right, everything's back together. Rainey's gonna play with the timing while I'm cranking on it, hitting the key, seeing if we can get her to run consistently now that we've got good injectors in it. Ready? We hooked that jumper pack up. Jumper pack's hooked up. Let's hit the key here. See what we can do. All right, so we're getting a weak crank, so I'm gonna let the battery charge here for a little bit. We'll come back out and retry again of getting it to start. We have spark, we've got fuel, so hopefully we just fix this crank, get timing set right, and we'll be in business. So I will see you when we get to that point. I just had it started, but of course I wasn't filming, so let's see if I can remake that happen. Ah, man, it was so close. Man, I don't know. I just had her going. I was so excited, and then it immediately shuts back down. Try again here. All right, we'll give it one last try here before we take a little break. I did check, we do have oil pressure, so that's good. Give her one more crank here. I'll let it prime twice. Yeah, it's just off right now for the timing. We got her going. We got her going, let's go! Let's go. So I came out here and I actually found out that 3 and 7 are actually flipped. So we are down 2 cylinders. So let's go ahead and get these 2 wires flipped. And we're gonna see if that makes any difference. Or these are 3 and 7, I'm sorry. So 7 needs to be over here. Set 3 needs to be here. and then 7 actually needs to be there. So let's go try to start the car again and see if that makes any sort of difference. I'm really hoping that was like a big factor in why it wasn't running good. So let's go ahead, restart it here, and see if she runs better. All right, give her a crank now that we got the spark plug swapped, and see if she fires up better. So it did feel a little bit smoother. Because of the timing being off and the headers, it still just sounds really rough and nasty. But it does have that upgraded cam in it, that mother thumper cam. So that probably has to do a little bit with it. But once we get that timing fixed, we got the spark plug swapped. So hopefully that issue gets cleared up here soon. So you heard it there. She's running. I just had to hold the throttle a little bit with that. So I might adjust that throttle body to be in a little bit. But what I'm going to do next is I'm going to get all the effects on the front so we can get water into this motor and actually get it running. But that's what we're going to call the video today. I told you at the beginning, I said, we're going to go until this car runs. And what did it do? It ran. So, you know, next video might be the finale where we get to actually drive this thing out of the garage and take it for a ride. So I'm so happy that it's running. I'm sure it's been a long wait, you know, multiple episodes on the channel of just doing little petty stuff until we could get it running. But we're running now, so now we're in the home stretch of just doing little things to it and having fun. So stay tuned for that next episode, and I will see you then.